Hey, my name is Kyle. If this is your first time to my channel, I have been Whetstone Sharpening for a few years now. I've actually started a business where I sharpen for other people, and I usually always produce great edges, kind of known for some of my content on herb sharpening. Today, we've got an interesting challenge. We're going to sharpen the world's cheapest kitchen knife. I'm assuming it's the world's cheapest. This knife was $1.50. I recently saw it at my local dollar store, and $1.50 in Canadian dollars. So that's real cheap. That's like 80 or 90 cents American dollars. So it's so funny. This packaging is just completely plain. It's just a blue background with RK wrote here, and the knife, I haven't opened it yet, just says stainless steel on it. So I am going to have a look. Let's see what we have here. Okay, it's super light. The handle scales are super cheap plastic. Fitted terribly to the tang, but for $1.50, I mean, it is a knife. What can you really expect for $1.50? Our edge starts way up here, so we have all this space back here with no edge. That's going to be probably a little bit of a problem over time. As we sharpen, then this portion of our blade is not going to sit on the cutting board anymore. What we're concerned about is the edge, the steel, what the steel is like, and if it can take much of an edge. There's not much of an edge on there now at all. It's very coarse, but I can do this with it. So you know it's not very sharp to be able to do that. Super steep grind on there, really steep bevel. There's no taper to this steel at all. So those are some things that are going to be issues with a blade like this. Really, a blade should start one thickness at the spine and taper all the way down and be very fine at the edge. You might have a small micro bevel, but not much of one at all. This knife, you can see, is as thick 3 mils away from the apex as it is at the spine, so it's not going to be the best cutter for that reason. So those are the types of things you want to look at when you're getting a knife. This should be tapered all the way in. So this is just a flat piece of steel with a little bevel about 1/16 to 1/8 of an inch deep here at the edge. That's it. So we'll see what kind of edge we can put on there despite that. And let's just start working here. Let's find the angle. So an old trick I usually teach people to figure out what angle to sharpen at is to lay their knife flat on the stone and then raise the spine of your knife up off the stone and keep tipping the knife up until the shadow under your edge disappears. And then you know you're sitting flat on your bevel. When I do that with this knife, that's the angle. So let's do it from here so you can see. That's the angle this blade is sharpened at. So it's a super steep grind. Let's see if we can fix that. I'm actually going to start with an even coarser stone. We're going to thin out that bevel a little bit. So the reason I'm switching my starting stone is because I've determined this knife is just too big a job for the 400. We need to remove some serious steel here to give this knife a potential of being able to cut. Okay, so this is just a hardware store tool stone. I pay like $5 for this stone, but it's super coarse, and it's what I use anytime I have a job like this to do. So what I'm going to do, instead of using our angle here, I'm going to actually lower the knife down and start creating my new angle. Pick a place, a knife. This is probably 1.5 inch deep belly. I'll raise probably the spine of the knife up maybe 1/2 inch off of the stone, and we'll start. Whoa, stone getting away from me here. We'll start cutting away some steel. So what I can already tell here is this is some super soft steel. It's just getting chowed away like crazy with this coarse stone. Since I've had so much steel to remove, I've been quite sloppy with my grinding, just going crazy to remove as much steel as I can. You can see how deep that bevel is now compared to what it was. It's still pretty steep because we have no angle geometry to go off of here. So this is all the angle we have. So it's pretty rough there now, but we're done with the tool stone. Let's go on to 400 grit. You see where that bevel originally ended right here, I took all the way back here. So that took a little bit of work. But I carved that off too, because by carving into this steel, this bevel was going below this sort of ricasso type deal here, which was leaving the edge up off the cutting board, which is no good. This is useless then. Now over to the 400. Truthfully, I'm not really sure what's going to happen here with this little experiment. This is, I can tell it's pretty soft steel. Is it going to take a razor edge, a sharp edge like my other knives? I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. Maybe it'll take an awesome edge but won't hold it, or maybe it's just the steel's not capable of getting up to that razor edge. It's going to be interesting to see for sure. On to a 1000. So this is our last sharpening stage, and then we'll go into honing. We're just polishing that bevel to see how sharp we can get it. So again, 1000 grit here now. Trying to be consistent as best we can with our angle. Progressing well. The steel just cuts so fast. Doesn't hold up well to these good sharpening stones. That's done with the 1000. Now on to a 3000. Again, this is a Nanowa Super Stone. This is a beautiful stone. Again, nice and light with my pressure here now. I'm working it pretty quickly because it's a quick blade and it's just a lot of surface area. It's pretty easy to sharpen in terms of keeping it on the stone and holding on to the knife. But I can't imagine it'll be easy getting a perfect edge on there. Nice and light, you can just hear it wisping over the stone there now. Slurry is quickly forming, lots of steel being cut off. Some single cutting strokes now. Not too much pressure, getting lighter. Now I'm going to use our old trick of drawing that edge just lightly through some soft wood here, just the weight of the blade or so, just to make sure we don't have any burr. Okay, and now a final couple cutting strokes on that 3000. No strapping strokes here now. We want to make sure no burr forms. Whatever edge we have is a solid supported edge. It's not a wire burr. Do our very best. Super light pressure. And that's it for the 3000. Now we'll go over to our 6000. So let's try the 6000 grit stone and see what we can make happen here. Again, consistent with our bevel. A quick stone rinse, and now our final strokes. Again, a light draw through some wood, and we'll do just our few super light cutting strokes like we've been doing all along, just to create that perfect edge. Hopefully a perfect edge. I'm not sure about this steel. It's pretty soft. And with a good stone like this, the steel gets cut so fast, so you don't need much pressure at all. Just super light. very controlled. I'm increasing my angle ever so slightly now, just so I know I'm right on that apex, and that is enough. Now let's do a little bit of strapping. We're pulling out all the stops for this video. Just doing everything we can to get that edge as perfect as we can. Maybe it won't be so perfect at all. Maybe we did all this work for nothing. Maybe this steel can't handle such a refined edge. I'm not sure. And then a couple straps on my polish strap. Again, the very best we can. I haven't tested this edge once while sharpening other than a quick feel with my fingertips. That's it. So here is our edge right now. Notice it's a very deep edge. It's a much deeper bevel than you usually see for your actual sharpened bevel, unless you're talking about a Scandi grind knife. It's got a beautiful polish, 6000 grit. Just check that out. How about we start with an extreme sharpness test, and we'll see if this thing can treetop hair. So let's give this a shot. You gotta listen for it. I don't know if you can hear that, but it can treetop hair off my head. We've got a blade full of hair and a bunch of hair. You guys probably can't see all the hair fluttering down in front of my face, but if it's tree topping, we know it'll do pretty much anything else, because it takes that's a test generally you use for checking straight razors, and that is to cut a hair under its own standing weight. So I'm not pushing the blade against my scalp and shaving or pinching the hair off. I'm just brushing along the top of my hair, and that's called a treetop test. And you see if just the weight of the hair, the resistance of the hair against the blade, will let the blade go through it. So this is one viciously sharp knife. Now with this soft steel, looking like Mr. Wilson here from Home Improvement, with this sharpest, soft of steel, it's not going to hold that edge. It is so ridiculously sharp right now, which I'm actually somewhat impressed by, that it actually got to that level of edge. But it's not going to hold it, of course. However, we did learn something today. We've learned that with good care, even a super cheap, really soft steel will take a great edge if only you have a few good tools and some good technique. So you can put an edge on anything. No good to complain that you can't get an edge on your knife because it's too cheap. If you're careful enough, you'll get that edge. Keeping an edge is a whole different thing. But yeah, we learned a little something. I hope you enjoyed it. It was an interesting little experiment. Thanks for watching. Hit the like button. And since we put in all this work, how about we go out with a little bit of an edit of this edge.